and the area, get wait. There. And can you improve? Then you don't get free part. What's this? No, you take your hand from. This is empty. So you apply that against kick. Throw it. Right hand, left. Throw his energy out, force. But other hand is also important. Often his feet come up when he throws him, you take his head and you get it. So, preventing the accident. Two hands. Okay? In case you get stuck here, again, this hand, other hand will use other thing. So extend out two hands. Hey, yeah. Huh? There you go. Get your body. Don't hit too hard so many times. One, more contact. One, that's right. Okay? You don't get hurt, are you? Right. One, two. Gentle as possible. 1, 2. Feeling is absorbed like that. Absorbed. One. Good work. What's this? Huh? There's no crash. As it is. All right. Katate no ri. Exercise. Right? No. This time. In. Shift your weight. Shift your weight. Lie your own. Every hand. Right? You did this. Yes? Other day. Remember? Yes or no? Yes. Waiting. Hope. Okay. Height. Double triggers. Remember? This time is different. Correct. Cross. Rear foot. Go. Step forward. Only rear foot. Correct. Across the chin, throw it. Oh. Previous. Okay? Throw it. Previous one. Oh. This one. Oh. Right chin, across chin, dialogue. Right. Rotate. Fist. Go chin, right. Forget about that, okay? Good. Not yet. No. そう書いてるんですね。Optim is applied against back of the neck at the moment. Yeah? Agitate. This side. Sometimes you get stuck there and wait this side. This again can be dangerous technique, so we need to go step by step. So let your partner aware what's happening. Rub your hand, pressure against the neck, bottom of the neck, down. Like this. Because you get stuck this one. If you don't get stuck, why don't you finish fighting? Sometimes it gets stuck for some reason. Yeah. So this is one. Up. Down. Grab the bottom of the neck. As you do, the rope with his hands get loose. See? Oh. Don't try to work on this one first before you fix his head down. Oh. Yeah, then. Oh. Yeah. Rub your own hand. There's no bending. Straight. Usual. It's only preparation, huh? And turn your hip. Bring his elbow, joint, expose the right foot. Bring your back, your hip backwards. Don't drop yourself. Very break. Yes, what you can walk, gentle, turn, bring. Turning, no tenkan. You do tenkan, look, create gap between two bodies. Wow, stick together. Okay, no raising the elbow. Okay, pulls. By turning your hips, pulls. Then, you see it? See? In between thumb and end. Oh. What? You see it? One. You got to relax your arm, okay? One, force. Look, elbow to elbow, ready. Focus. Huh? Bam. I like let's his arm. Force. Time. What? Impact is given back. Okay, you can grab your own wrist or wrist. And the top drum is tight. Watch how I stretch. Oh. Wow. You see it? What is it? Don't raise his elbow. Look like this. Now this is a preparatory exercise against ski. Ski. One. The ski is moving forward, right? Elbow is not raised. That's what it is. Right. Oh. In order to bring his arm right into your chest, go. It's the order to turn. Elbow is against elbow. This is go. Especially effective this kind of strike. Because turning there. So you have the turning up and bring it into your chest. You swing your hip back gently. Right, contact. Twist. Oh. Now tendency. Okay, grab it. Right, turn. One. Penetration, turning like a troop. How much I turn here? One. Down, grab each other. Establish contact. Two hands. One. Two. Over. Reduce. Unlike. Over. Six. Relax here. Huh? Then you have a cushion. Okay? If your stomach flap, no more. But the coming out. It's only preparatory exercise against skin. Here, retreat, move, back. Establish contact inside. You see that? Take the hand grab, your hand. Your hand down. Sit together. You have to relax and work with these words and stick together. Slow, yeah? For beginners. Bridge. 1, 2. Right. Tenderness in the hand. 4. See? If you turn it very relaxed, 4. No? Right? As many of you want. Then you work. So don't be stiff. Heavy hand. Heavy hand. Look. Let's strike slowly. Whoa. Whoa. Never leave. My hand never leave from his arm. Tongue like a snake. You understand? For that you need relaxation. Too tight. Right? See? How relaxed it is? That's the best. It's stance. You don't have to go like this sometimes. You work directly like this. The best stance. It's not a matter of faster or slower. The basic position. Ultimately, all depends on my view. Sometimes my penetration may be smaller as this, or maybe bigger. All depending on how I feel. There's no fixed theory. And finishing institution also has no fixed way of doing it, or depending on how he is, how I can manage to play this time, if it's anything can change. Begin. My energy and his energy does not conflict. The same as, look. Energy is moving towards center. So you have to deal your own body. The way you don't concentrate. From here it opens, but lots here. Many of you I see goes down, right? Now again, your energy is moving in that direction. It is moving in that direction. The neck. Okay? Especially when you encounter big guys, you can't imbalance it. You'll be imbalanced by his weight. In part. The way you have to move, directly you have to move. No way pressing his weight. Always, okay? Then, that's how you end up. His body is gaining torque and you try to reverse. That's why you end up in strength all the time. I don't receive any. Change the foot. I can put me well, come on. Slow, gentle. Okay, footwork. As you see. Slide down towards this one. And lift. Hit it. Hit. And slide. Then top. Hey. Left foot forward. Don't change it. As you see. This time, change your foot. Change your position. Same feet. Soft. As you see. Hand over the head. Hand work. Sliding. Pull my feet. 2. 2. This first. Down. Push the gate. Okay. Moving. Lefty. Down. Get on. Forward, down. Otosis is drop. In order to drop the jaw downward, you have to raise other side. Leaning forward. Okay? Right side. This side. 1, 2. Initiate attack. 1, 2. Let's sharply, sorry. 1, 2. Yeah? Initiate. Is it? Yeah. Hey. Yes, right. This time on the other side, I don't mind. Your side down. So this must be another one more. I hope for the sake. Captain. Junte, you cannot do kite. Captain only. 2, 3. As I turn my jaw, I actually hit his wrist. That's what meant to be. Unless he has a protector, I can hit. So I just, on purpose, I miss it. Yeah. Okay? That's 7. Huh? 8. 10. Oh, take it back. Okay? Step back. Okay? variation number 2.
Fight.
When you look down, hand must be raised in it. Like that. Like a picture. Yeah. Down. Okay? No? Then thrust. No more thrust. No. Don't mix up. Thrust, yes. Get it. In there. No. 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 When you knock his jaw down, hand must be raised. Thereafter, up. No. That's right. Extend extension of jaw toward his jaw as he comes. Positive extension. Right. Again. It's difficult if you break the movement. And the using with thrusting. Regular, normal thrusting. Right? Junte. Abnen. Junte. That's this one. Junte. No, take it down. Moment is separate. Then no. That's what we begin. This one. As you look down, raise your hand, right hand, and put your head. Knocking down. There's a light hand on the head. Raising your hand, by raising your hand, you drop the other end of the jaw down. Pressure, give it down. Okay? The purpose of raising your hand is knock it down. Thereafter, finish with thrusting. Of course, you can do other things, but this is a variation. You have to run lots of different possibilities. one of the possibility. Obviously. 1, 2. Let's drop. Okay? Right. Home match. Okay. I should. Right. We're in contest. That's first. Harder. Number 2. Yes, good. That's good. Seven. I can do. Variation 2. Excellent. Start. Switch up. Deeper. Right. Stop. Nine, 10, 11, 15. Done. Three, 9. 10. 11. initial thrust is too sharp. You're not reaching like this. That's why the mind, the next stage, comes right. It's difficult. Number 12, head up. Okay, did you see that? Running. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. You always move with his center. Oh. Like a fishing, you know? Fishing, you always go like this. End of the pole, never leave from the center. Then it will be defeated by fish. Yes, the big, I'm talking about big fish, you know? That's this slowly. 1, okay, straight. 2, again, center. Never let your jaw go away from the center. Okay? Hey! Combination of 2 techniques. So previously, the exercise you did, 2 kaiten switches, right? Slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time, 巻き落とし、1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll get round the back in a minute.
No, why not? Come on.
Right, some at the back. Would you like to go inside, please? Right at the back. I can't see some of them. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, very much so. It was nice weather on top of that. and that my first visit to Great Britain without having any rain.
Yeah, that's the first year we've had, but there hasn't been any
Must
rain.
be so.
Yeah, getting better all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, we've collected questions from students at summer school. We've
Yes.
had a great deal of response, but we've tried to cut the questions down and
Mm-hmm.
keep them relatively simple.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are interested in the reasons why you actually started Aikido, how you first heard of it, and what made you decide to practice. And if you had any aspirations at that time, and if those aspirations have changed, or if they've in fact been fulfilled yet.
Well, if I'm going to answer for that question, going to be long, long story, you know. But to make it short, I trained in judo and karate before I started Aikido, and I somehow became disappointed with those 2 hours that I studied prior to Aikido. And I was looking for something else that satisfies my quest. That was about, I was 18 years old, and I was wandering downtown Tokyo, and I came across one of the bookstores. There I found one of the Aikido books published first time by Kishoma author. The author was Kishoma Ueshiba Sensei, and supervised by Sensei. And there I saw in the first page the small picture of Sensei, and I looked at it, and I knew that he's going to be my master. I did have no idea. I'd never seen Aikido before. It didn't make any difference. I knew it, and I'm confident that he's going to be my master. So I bought a book, took it home, and read it through all. Didn't make sense to me anything, you know, because I never seen, I never known what Aikido before. But it said Aikido was only taught very selected member of martial arts society and military society before the war. And it said that in order to become a student of under Ueshiba Sensei, you need to have introductory letter from at least 2 people, well-known people. Otherwise, you will not be accepted. But that was a story before the war. So I had a hope that if I do my best sincerely to approach to Ueshiba Sensei, I might be accepted. So that's what I did. It was, if I remember correctly, it was February 3rd, 1958. I left home and went to see Sensei at Hondojo, same location as it is now. And I applied interview. But he was not there. I didn't know that he lived in Yuama at that time. But anyway, I asked interview, but it was rejected. I repeatedly come back for interview, begging for interview. But repeatedly rejected. So I have no choice but sit down in front of Hondojo for 3 days. That was middle of winter. It was very cold. My mother gave me, she knew that it's going to be a very hard task for me to get through this procedure, you know. So she gave me lots of clothes to wear and lots of rice balls. So that helped me. And at the end of toward end of the 3rd day, See, I was going to sit, I determined to sit there for 3 days only. And if I failed on that, I mean, if my request was not met, I was going to leave.
That was just, you just decided on that time period
Yes, that's
yourself.
right.
Yeah.
So there was nothing I can do if, 3 days sitting in front and asking, begging, and nothing happened. Well, I did best, no? But it was really fortunate that Sensei came to Hombu Dojo at his regular visit from Yama to Tokyo at the end of third day. And staff of Hombu Dojo told him that there was a young guy sitting in front of the dojo, never moved for 3 days, and his request was to become Jideshi. So, Sensei said, bring him in, I'd like to see him. That was the first time I saw him. I remember it as clear as yesterday. I sat in the corridor outside of his room, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, young man, you know that to be martial artist is going to be very, very hard training for years and years. Are you willing to take that adventure? I said, yes, sir. I have no problem with that. That was what I was looking for. And he looked at me and said, okay, you stay here. It's only a matter of, say, 5 minutes, That was how I became Shihan.
Did you ever have any regrets when you were training?
Oh, yes. So many times. How many times I thought how many times I became so, what is in English? Disillusioned, Disillusioned and unhappy, exhaustion, gross nervous breakdown. And actually I left Hombu Dojo twice. When I was a kid, I was thrown out one first time. And the second time I left, I had a bitter argument with the Hombu Dojo officer, staff, and I had enough, I'm leaving.
Dare we ask why you got thrown out?
Some of you guys know. But what kept me, I don't know. What kept me going. It's really strange. Perhaps most strong reason was my connection, my attachment, my loyalty, my feeling toward Sensei. That saved me.
Did you take gradings at Hombu Dojo in the same way as we do today?
I never take. No Hombu Jideshi had taken any grades.
Did the teacher continuously assess you as a student?
Teach?
How were different downgrades awarded if there were no grading tests?
Sensei said, yes, you are young down.
Yes.
Or,
Just from your everyday practice.
yes, and sometimes there is a promotion once every year at Hombu Dojo. In January, in New Year's time, and all of a sudden you see your name up there. Come on. We never interested in grade anyway. Our interest is to master the art,
What's been the greatest influence other than Sensei on your Aikido life? Because obviously you've said, through the difficulties, it was just the thought of him that kept you going. Is there anything else that has been an influence on your Aikido or any other person?
Well, I think again, my love, my attachment toward martial arts, since I was very little, I was kind of a kid who loves to fight and who loves to, we go through that kind of adventure. And for instance, when I left Hombu Dojo after I exchanged the bitter arguments with Hombu Dojo, I left. I packed up myself and gone back home. I was so relieved, I was so happy, being Hombu Dojo left behind. And I went home, and I had 2 days, sleepless night, because there's no smell of sweat in my sweet home, We all just slept at Hombu Dojo on the mat. So when you sleep, there's strong smell of sweat, all the time.
Was it Sensei who slept in your dojo? No, I think you once slept in Tony and Stella's dojo and it smelled good.
And I think, altogether, I think my heart toward martial arts is the most important force that kept me going. Now, of course, besides that, I saw so many fine masters besides Sensei. And those teachers have given such influences, and really encouraged me also.
Sensei, you described that you practiced other martial arts before Aikido. How do you feel about students practicing other martial arts at the same time as Aikido?
Well, I did not practice at the same time. I think it will be very difficult to master Aikido if you practice this martial art at the same time. But my experience I had in Judo and Karate helped a great deal to understand Aikido better.
Would you like to see Aikido generally worldwide as popular as Judo and Karate? Or do you think that as a martial art it could lose something by being very popular?
Well, I have a mixed feeling to it. I think Aikido being a noble art, I think this nobility of art must be preserved for the future to come. And with that, I think popularization of Aikido has certain limitations as to compare Judo or Karate or other martial art. And I like to keep Aikido as much as noble as it has been.
We were told that Sensei wanted to keep Aikido relatively close and for high-ranking people, and that Doshu encouraged it to be opened up more generally to people.
Yes.
And how did you feel about that at the time? And do you think that it's been
I understand both point of views, and of course they both belong to different generations and different times. I respect Sensei's view, keeping Aikido as much as close as noble and within limited people. On the other hand, I understand that Waka Sensei, President Doshu, he wished to popularize Aikido as much as possible because he strongly believes that Aikido is beneficial throughout the human society.
Does Aikido relate traditionally to Buddhism or Shintoism? And is there more emphasis on the spiritual side of practice in Japan?
Well, as you probably know that Sensei was very devoted Shintoist, and his master, his religious master, was famous priest of Shinto, named by Deguchi Nisatoro from Omoto Shinto section. So naturally, there was a very strong tendency, color of the Shintoism within Sensei's teaching. And although he never forced to anyone to accept his religious belief through Aikido training, but he always expressed his feeling and his love toward God and his complete faith toward God. And he always said to us, if you want to complete your study in art, in the art of Aikido, you must have faith. In other words, religion. Whereas since his interpretation of Shinto teaching was very complicated, as you may all know, as you probably know that there are 8 million gods in Shintoism. And just to remember the name of God, is so difficult. And every phenomena and every movement in the universe are taken by the certain name of God. So, especially like myself, there was the generation after the war. And after the war, Japanese educational system has been completely changed from the previous generations. And there was no such education ever given after the war. So what Sensei tried us, what Sensei were trying to teach us was completely foreign to me. So instead, it was my choice. I went Zen Buddhism, and that was my side training. Of course, I went through lots of the Shintoism training also, purification exercise, what we call the isogi. But again, that didn't satisfy me enough, so I secretly went to Zen Buddhism.
And how much does that influence your Aikido?
Very much.
And do you think that a spiritual approach is necessary in the martial arts?
Well, question is necessary or not, do you have to have faith because it's necessary? Do you have to believe God because of its necessity? It's something very natural,
I think people's concern in this way is also a reflection of the difference in Eastern and Western attitudes to life, and wondering if, as Westerners, there is something that we maybe aren't in touch with, and if we could be better practitioners of Aikido.
Oh, I see what you
and
mean.
develop perhaps more spiritually in that way, but we're restricted by our Western beliefs maybe sometimes.
Well, I don't think, say for instance, Christianity is, universal religion, and practicing Christianity, I don't think anything contradictory is Aikido principle.
A lot of people have asked about Sensei, and all the first generation students that were taught by him, they're so different in their own practice. Do you think that Aikido will progress through different people's interpretation?
I think so. I have seen those differences with my own eyes. Those first generation students taught by our Sensei before the war, in the middle of the war, after the war, and as our Sensei progresses himself and changes his teaching style, and it makes so different by the time with the time, whether he was student before the war, after the war,
Yeah. And do you think that today's students of Aikido can never fully appreciate the art, never having seen no Sensei?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not, well, it is rather different what Sensei was like, for instance, from myself, But I think some of most important feeling and techniques that what makes Aikido has been transmitted to in our generations.
And people have asked how Sensei's teaching was different from the teaching we have today, and in particular the feeling is that maybe the teaching in Japan at Hombu Dojo is more visual, and that Westerners demand more verbal and technical explanation. Is it completely different the way we receive teaching to the way Sensei used to teach?
But if you are talking about particular Sensei's teaching style, I don't think so, because he gave lots of lectures, lots of lectures on Shintoism and how Aikido was born with the name of God and motion, such as Kototama principle. Kototama principle is, as I have told you on the mat earlier, that each Japanese word carries certain spirit and certain significance of the So, say for instance, if he gives 1 hour class, 45 minutes was lecture on that, and 15 minutes is exercise, But generally speaking, you are right. Generally speaking, that most Japanese martial art disciplines that conducted in Japan is very strict. There are rarely oral explanations. We have to watch and sit and learn and train. That's about it.
Have women been practicing Aikido as long as it's been done? And what's the highest grade amongst women in Hong Kong?
Wow, that I don't know. I have been away from dojo and I never look at that record. I would say probably 6 down were there. In my time, there were only very little women practitioners, about, as far as I know, about half that.
And also, are there any women ukidachis? And would it be possible for a woman to be an ukidachi? Because it seems...
Where?
Anywhere in the world.
I should think so. Why not?
It always seems that ukidachis are the ones that are chosen are physically strong and fit and male.
I don't think so. I have, say, for instance, cases, I have about 4 or 5 cases in San Diego. There are women cases.
Could you explain a little more to us about the Kenjusei
program?
Fukushindoin and Shidoin system, yes, the hierarchy of Aikido?
Well, in my organization, in our the USF Western Division, we have Kenshusei, Shidoin, and Shihan system. Shihan is, of course, those who promote up to 6 rounds. So, in order to encourage American students to go through this training, to be a professional or semi-professional teacher, I have a program in my dojo named a system called Kenshusei. It's Advanced Teachers Program. And they have to go through a number of years, number of practice required per month, number of seminar or courses to be attended per year, very strict. And within each stage, they have to take the examinations. And presently, Kenshusei I have in my dojo is 15 hours per week. That's minimum requirement. But most of my Kenshusei go take class about 140 hours per month.
How important do you feel weapon training is in Aikido, and is it necessary to practice weapons to become a good Aikidoka?
Well, again, that question is strange to me. It's not necessary or not. I was taught by our sensei. I knew it, and I studied. I investigated. I put lots of effort to it based on what I was taught, and there I am. No.
Yeah. Do you feel that you're better at Aikido if you have an understanding of weapon? Do you feel you have a better understanding of Aikido by practicing Boken and Jo than if you didn't do any at all?
Well, look at this way that I am not blaming, I am not criticizing anybody, but within most standard requirements for the examination in Aikido includes against weapons.
I think
You agree?
Yeah.
And in order to deal against sword attack or jaw attack, you should have knowledge of weapons. And without giving instruction on that, how can one possibly, meet requirement of the examination? It is self-contradiction.
I think this concern's been voiced sometimes by people who haven't got access to weapons classes. And that's obviously something in the system that needs to be made accessible to them.
A question we've got from some of the university teachers about university students in Japan, because we've heard there's a lot of students practice Aikido in the university system. They wonder if we have the same problems that they have here with long holidays and exams taking a lot of the students' time, and also with the students really having a short-term Aikido lifespan, sort of 3 years. The instructor doesn't sort of get many students to progress longer than that.
Well, Japanese universities Aikido class, I think, lots different from here. Their devotion to study as well as their sportive activities is incredibly high. I mean, the rule is very strict in their class, They have, if they don't attend a certain grade, they will be thrown out.
Yeah.
And if they don't come to summer school, winter school, spring school, week-long, and they can't be accepted as members.
Yeah. Do you feel that students should keep a written record of the classes to help them in their future as teachers?
I think I advise my students to keep a diary, and that was from my own experience. I kept my record all the time.
Yeah.
And I have lots of information in it, even drawings, pictures, and footwork, and it gives me really good feedback. Yeah. And you can really see how much change has been taking place,
Yeah. Have you ever been tempted using these notes to write a book about Aikido?
Not yet.
And do you prefer to teach a large class like at summer school, or do you prefer a small class?
I like to have both exposure, large school as a general class, as well as small class for limited beginners or limited advanced students, So I can give more personal attention to practitioners. And large class that has advantages, mixed class, so the beginners learn from the senior students, senior learn also from beginners, right? And it lacks of personal attention because of the numbers are large. But as long as something, aspiration, what you call aspiration, if there's aspiration, someone may be able to see it.
And there's a nice atmosphere as well in a summer school and a special course. How do you personally train yourself and develop the Aikido that you teach us?
Presently, Well, anything I do, I consider my training, even drinking, fishing, sleeping. There's no difference between what I do.
Yeah, because people have asked about your daily routine. Do you still find it necessary to train every day?
Most important, my meditation comes first. First thing, meditation, breathing exercise. And of course, I teach about 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And there are lots of paperwork I do for the organization I'm conducting. Articles and so forth.
Working on your book.
No, not yet.
And do you feel that enough emphasis is placed in this country on breathing exercises?
Mm-hmm.
We should just follow the examples that you give us on summer school courses?
Well, the Aikido technique, Aikido exercise, the way we practice itself is breathing exercise already. Breathing doesn't necessarily do through your mouth or nose only, breathing through all parts of your body, hands, foot, chest, everything. That's what Aikido is.
Is it possible, in your view, Sensei, to integrate Aikido teaching with a full-time job and an everyday domestic life, or do you think that to be a true professional you should be able to do Aikido full-time, Aikido teaching full-time?
No, I'm not with you.
Do you think it's possible to teach Aikido properly on a part-time basis if someone has a full-time job and they're teaching, say, in the evenings? Or do you think it's necessary to dedicate your whole career?
Well, question is, I don't think it's simple as that, I think it's depending on the quality or depth of knowledge, understanding, experience of the person. Whether he works without a job or not, I don't think it really matters, and willingness to give that knowledge.
Do you ever intend to retire from Aikido, or do you mean to practice as long as you can?
I like to retire right now.
You're not trying to get rid of you.
Nobody will let you though.
So that's it. That's your answer to that one.
That's all?
No. A few people have asked us why you left Britain when you did after you built up such a sort of large following and went to America.
I never left you.
We should have come with you, should we say?
First, to begin with, I came here to this country with 3 years, for the 3 years. Then I extended 2 years, 2 years. I thought 5 years should be enough, to build up certain foundation for the Aikido in this country. So 5 years went by. No, I couldn't leave. Few more years, repeatedly, extended, and it took 10 years. And I saw I might be done, but I saw that foundation was laid. So it's time for me to go back to my own country and carry on my study.
Teaching in America, do you find that there's a lot of difference in the way that Americans and British practice?
No, I don't think so.
And do you think that any of your students will ever be better than you at Aikido? Do you find this is a difficult situation as a teacher, or do you think it's possible?
Better
at Aikido than you? Do you ever think any of your students that you're teaching at the moment could ever be better than you one day?
Oh yes, sure. Yes. That's my purpose. Purpose of my work.
Do your children practice Aikido, and what are your hopes for their futures in Aikido?
My children?
Yeah.
Yes, they are studying Aikido. They have no choice very Japanese strictness. I don't let my children play because I don't let my children indulge themselves. You come to dojo and that's it. But I don't force. You have to practice 13 hours per week. As long as they touch, they are there with atmosphere and feeling the dojo, that's good enough for me for 13 years. I never expect them to be professional or downgrade anything like that.
You're considered by a lot of people, especially in the United Kingdom, to be one of the greatest masters of Aikido. How do you feel about it?
I am rather ashamed.
You're too modest to tell us so.
No, I think I am not. I am one of the pioneer of the art, and I have some power. I have some talent that I can pass on some message I got from Sensei on other people. But I don't think I am a great master. I always try to be, beginner. I try to keep myself in a beginner's mind as possible. That's why I try to wear white belt all the time.
Oh, we were going to ask you about that something.
Just make sure that you don't lose beginner's mind.
It keeps a humility. How soon, if ever, do you think that all of the various Aikido organisations in Great Britain will be able to practice together?
Is it not?
Well, there are separate organisations, and even though, like, the summer school is open to other organisations, there are two separate bodies.
I don't know how long does it take, but if it's going to happen, let it take natural course. And of course, from our side, we do our best, but you can't force the situation, The same as the technique. You have to have certain process, certain time, maturity, to make things right.
Do you think that a student would need to adapt his or her Aikido as practiced in the dojo to deal with an attack in the street?
Adjust. Adapt. Well, I don't know. You mean you're talking about the situation in the street, huh?
Yeah.
For other self-defense?
I think people wondered whether they would just use a classical technique that they practice on that. Well, yeah. This is what we've been. So the way they put it to us.
You see, under such a circumstance, technique itself is not so important. The awareness, the feeling, sensitivity toward the situation is most important. As long as you're dealing with superior technique to against somebody, there's always limit, because there are always superior ones than you are. But as long as your awareness and your sensitivity is very sharp, you never get involved in that kind of situation. You knew it's going to happen.
Yeah. So you can avoid a conflict. Yeah. Obviously, people at all levels of practice worry about pain and injury. What's your advice on how to conquer this fear of pain? Or don't we?
Well, that's an important question, I think. Excuse me, may I have some water? You have to reckon that there is a healthy pain and there is unhealthy pain. And you have to accept healthy pain, and you have to reject unhealthy pain. But unhealthy pain can be turned healthy pain as well. That's what the progression of the one's status through the training comes. So,
because you've given us a lot of advice this year on UKA, and I I think sometimes people express the fear of injury or the fear of pain as being a problem with UKA. It makes them stiffen up and become tense in their attack.
So that's why I have given advice to your members in the previous year that don't try to practice technique right. Try to understand Aikido practice as conditioning exercise to begin with, to condition your body. That means cultivate and construct the ability to deal with different and harder, increasingly harder situations. And there comes concept of harmony. You never confront with force. You have to absorb, you have to harmonize, you have to neutralize the force coming towards you. And there are always limits. If you confront whatever strong you may be, there are always limits. As long as you harmonize, there is no limit.
If injuries do occur on the mat, do you feel that an Eastern medical therapy is better at treating Aikido injuries than the Western approach?
Well, I am not. I don't have much idea what Western approach is, but since I only know Eastern way of doing it, I think better or worse. That is the only choice I have.
Yeah. I've had a couple of questions about the treatment you use. One of them is that we often see you using moxa on injuries. Do you tend to use this in preference to ice or other? You tend to use moxa on?
No, moxa is after heat is removed from the spot of injuries. Cold or ice applied to the spot of injury when there is heat still inside.
Yeah. So you use whichever's called for at the time?
Cold is first, always first, immediately. Cold first, then remove heat. I think it takes a couple of days, or depending on how serious injury is, 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
When we're keen to practice regularly, Sensei, how can we develop patience without resting injuries?
Patience?
Patience.
Patience,
Without resting injuries.
Well, I had myself lots of injuries, and each stage I have learned things a great deal. It's I think it was a medal, injury. Each injury was, to me, was a medal, trophy, on each stage. It was so painful to watch and couldn't move and couldn't practice. That boils up inside, but that the kind of energy you make the next jump.
Which, if any, do you consider the most important of the Aikido techniques? Is the one you feel is more important than the others?
Yes, there are few. Irimi, Tenkan. Irimi first.
Yeah.
Second, Tenkan. Third, Irimi Tenkan. And Kokyuryoku.
Yeah.
3. There are no individual techniques I take any importance, especially. But this 3, 4, no? Irimi, Tenkan, and Kokyuryoku.
You have practices in your own dojo with downgrades not wearing the hakama. What's the reasoning behind that?
Wearing not the hakama in my dojo?
When they wear white belts, I think people mean Sensei. When anybody who comes on the mat has to wear just white belt and a suit, and they don't wear black belt and a hat.
Oh, in my dojo, in San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh, again, long story, when I started my dojo in San Diego, bunch of people moved from elsewhere. I didn't have much student San Diego itself. So those people moved from other states, and they already were trained people doing Aikido 10, 15 years, you know. So they heard me move to San Diego, and they came to, you know, train with me. About I would say about dozen of people I had, but I cannot survive with having with only 12 students or so. So we decided to have a beginners class, okay? And I thought, why don't you move your Hakaman belt, you know, pretend to be beginner, you know? They attract some people, they get it, you know, otherwise I can't live. So everybody take off Hakaman and, you know, pretend to be beginner. And so some 1, 2, 3 new members moved in. But these guys on my dojo never change their practice. They didn't wear Hakama. So never, I never had a good number of beginners coming to my dojo, you know. That's how it started. But nowadays I have lots of beginners, actually too many. But I kept still tradition that when downgrades join to the beginners class, you must remove your Hakaman belt to remind you beginner's mind.
Yeah.
Once a week or, you know, so.
Do you think that the standard of Aikido is improving worldwide? And also, when you come to summer school, Sensei, you give us lots of very useful constructive criticism that people do wonder if we ever improve in your eyes or if we're doing anything right.
I think there is a personal, you know, progress in a personal levels, of course. But I think in general, as Aikido become more popular, the quality naturally suffers. And as a part of my responsibility, I try to prevent that as much as possible. And that is a very classical issue, you know, quantity and quality matter. So it's quite natural, I think, happenings. But there's no way other than to our best.
And have you got any encouragement for the people at summer school about their practice within the scope of
encouragement?
worldwide Aikido?
Yes, I think your members have such a devotions and love, commitment to our training. And I like you to, you know, become good Aikidoist. And if there are substantial advice I can give you is you have to work on your body more precisely. Conditioning exercise through Aikido training, conditioning your body through Aikido exercise, and build up or create more what you call in English resilience, power of resilience, not different from flexibility. Resilience, that's right.
The ability to cope with more.
That's right. Like a young fresh branch, you know, when it is bent. Soon as pressure release, goes backwards. Huh? That kind of flexibility in your body.
Well, since you've done really well, you've
Yes?
managed to get through everybody's questions.
Oh.
So I hope you enjoyed them.
Thank you very much.
That was-
I hope my English is understandable to the members.
Fine.
Smashing, thank you.
Thank you very
Good.
much for answering our
Thank you very
questions.
much.
Thank you.